Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast, the personal development podcast for folks who want more fulfillment, connection, purpose, and joy in life. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, a no-nonsense coach, a seasoned entrepreneur, photographer, rescue dog mum, and happy life enthusiast. Each week on the podcast, I share tools, tips, and strategies, amazing guest interviews, and uplifting conversations that will help you improve all areas of your life. Let's dive in. Hi, folks. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 9. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking to you about how your inner child might be running the show without you even realizing. So if you find yourself procrastinating on doing things that actually aren't that difficult and would move you forwards, but you can't quite seem to get them done, no matter how hard you try and override the urge to procrastinate, maybe you quite habitually stay quiet and don't speak your needs, don't ask for what you want, and you end up playing down what you need and what you want in a situation. If you find yourself being very triggered by things that on the surface seem really small and really inconsequential, but they trigger an enormous internal emotional reaction for you. And if you find yourself looping in the same relational patterns, whether it's at work or at home, and however you move through life and whatever stage of life you're at, you find you keep being in the same situations and being triggered by the same kind of things from people, these are all some little indicators that you have a younger part of you dictating terms of your life and running the show. So when we talk about inner children and younger parts of ourselves, effectively what we're talking about are aspects of our personality and our behavior that have been shaped by experiences we have in childhood. Now, of course, we have some brilliant aspects of our personalities and behaviors that are shaped by our childhood experience, and those are fantastic. The ones I'm talking about are the experiences that were perhaps traumatic, that were harmful, where you maybe were humiliated or silenced or felt like you couldn't speak up. Those woundings are behavior patterns that can continue to run into adulthood. So we have childhood experiences that continue to shape our present day way of being, how we show up in life, what we do, what we don't do. And until you bring these behavior patterns into conscious awareness, they sit unconsciously dictating what you do, dictating how you behave, dictating how you react to things and how you feel about things. So if you find yourself in situations where you think, I wish I could just pull myself together, but I can't, or situations that you think, I really don't know why this triggers me, it doesn't trigger anybody else, and actually it seems completely irrational, but I don't know how to override it. These are classic signs that you've got a younger part that has been wounded or traumatized or damaged that actually needs a bit of healing work for you to be able to progress through life. We don't overcome these adverse childhood experiences that shape us. We don't overcome them by shouting at them or beating them into submission or trying to logic our way out of them, because they aren't logical. What's happened essentially is there is a part of you that has the mentality of a very young 5, 6, 7-year-old that is running a behavior pattern for you. So it's not logical, and shouting at it or getting cross doesn't change it, because that's probably what's created the problem in the first place. So I'll give you a couple of kind of concrete examples of how this might show up, and maybe you recognize yourself in some of these. So I'll give you this as a hypothetical example. So let's say you have been put forward or invited to apply for a promotion at work. And it's going to mean more opportunity, more visibility, more money. But no matter how hard you try, you actually just can't get yourself to get the CV polished up, to work with a coach, on your interview technique, all of the things that would be really easy for you to do to be able to put your application in for the job. But you just can't seem to be able to do it. And you might tell yourself, I've got a confidence crisis. I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't think I'm going to get it. But underneath what's actually running is a big visibility block. And perhaps if you tracked back, you would remember a time when you were 6, you were on stage at school and you were in part of a play, you forgot your lines, you froze on the stage, and everybody laughed at you. And that part of you is sitting and it's having a look at what's going to happen if you get the promotion at work. And that's going to mean standing on stages and speaking to people. It's going to mean being more visible, being more out there, being, being in a position of authority with people. But what that 6-year-old part of you sees is we might get put up on stage again and we might get humiliated. But we're not doing that. I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent you from putting yourself in that situation where this humiliation could play out again, because it was just so devastating the first time. We don't need it again. And that's what I mean by younger part running the show. There is a deep core wound that happened when you were 6 that is dictating your behavior as a 40 something, 50 something year old. But until you bring that into your conscious awareness, you're going to have no clue as to why you actually just self-sabotage and procrastinate and then have a go at yourself for being useless and procrastinating when actually there's something much deeper at play. And that's where the work needs to go. Another example might be that in your relationship with your partner, when there is something happening that you're not very happy about, or when there's something that you would like to ask for, you've got a need that you'd like to have met, there's something you'd really like to happen, you just don't ask for it. And you maybe sit quietly hoping that your partner will guess what it is you want and then getting cross when they don't mind read and guess. Or you sit quietly building resentment up because the relationship doesn't meet your needs, even though you haven't asked for those needs to be met. And if you track back, you'll recall that in childhood you had one of your parents was very short-tempered. Maybe you had a father who was a workaholic and was always tired and preoccupied and busy. And maybe there was one time you went in and said, please, could you read to me? Or please, could you come and play with me? Please, could you spend a bit of time with me? As you know, children ask for that in their own particular ways. And maybe you got shouted at, told to get out. I'm too busy. I don't have time for this now. And there is a part of you that remembers that and is afraid to speak up with your current partner and ask for what you want in case you get shouted at, in case your needs are dismissed again, and in case the core belief that will have been set up by that my needs don't matter, I'm a pain, I'm too much trouble, I'm not worth the trouble, whatever has been set up there will be making sure that you stay quiet. And your relationship would be vastly improved, of course, by being able to ask for what you want. But there is a very fearful, and quite rightly so, a very fearful part of you that is trying to make sure you don't experience the same traumatic treatment again. So maybe when I'm talking with this, you can think about, oh, there is a particular behavior pattern I run. And actually, if I think about it, it matches up to a time when I was really small and I got shouted at, or I got dismissed, or I was humiliated, or I felt great shame. Bringing it into your awareness is one of the first steps in being able to recognize what's happening here. Because when we don't know why we do something, it's really difficult to change it because it doesn't make any sense. And then you're going to berate yourself and the inner critic's going to get going like, see, look how useless you are, see, you're unhinged, whatever it likes to say to you. And actually what's happening is a very young part of you is doing its level best to make sure you don't re-experience the same pain you went through when you were 5 or 6 when this thing happened to you. So childhood wounding and how our younger selves can run the show can really turn up in things like procrastination, like I've shared, people pleasing, over functioning especially for women, is a fantastic one of let me just step in and solve everything. Over functioning is a really interesting one because often it's a two-pronged problem. Is we can step in and do everything because actually nobody's ever helped me. I can't rely on anybody, so I'm just going to get it done. And it's also just not trusting that somebody else will be able to step up for you. So it is a really insidious behavior pattern. And once you start to recognize it, you can start to do the work and make the changes with it. Maybe it's that you do self-sabotage, you do procrastinate on things. Your life isn't moving forwards in the way that you'd like. You're like, I can't understand what's going on here. But when we have these unconscious behavior patterns at play, they drive everything and they show up in all sorts of places. So it's really great to start by reflecting on what's one area of my life that isn't really working the way I'd like it to. What's one behavior pattern that I know I find myself in, the same relationship you find yourself in, the same thing. Maybe you're constantly you miss out on something at work, and it's trying to understand what's at play there. And you can just start to bring it into your awareness. That is the first step, really, of being able to do the healing work, because it is healing work that's needed on our younger selves so they stop running the show. The next thing is, and this is where I love doing shamanic work and where the energetic work comes in, is to take the time to actually have a conversation with that younger part of you and really understand what is going on or what happened for that younger part of you that is continuing to drive the behavior that you have now. This is a really insightful thing to do. So if I'm working with a client on this, I will do a guided shamanic journey for them, and I'll hold space for them to be able to converse with that younger part of themselves. And actually, sometimes what is really powerful is for that younger part to hear from you as an adult that actually you're the adult in the situation, and to thank that younger part of you for keeping you safe, because this is all these behavior patterns are doing, is trying to keep you safe, trying to make sure you're not humiliated, trying to make sure you're not shouted at again, trying to make sure your feelings aren't stamped all over again. And they're actually playing a role of keeping you safe that just is so outdated. And when we can marry the two up and bring them back into alignment, it is really transformational. And I think what's really great about this shamanic work is we don't need to spend ages talking about what happened when you were 5 that traumatized you. I think this is where therapy comes unstuck, is often you can end up sitting in the cycle of just continuing to talk and talk and talk about what happened to you. And it's really important to talk things out, don't get me wrong. But if you keep talking about it, you're not actually changing anything. And we have to go and dig into the unconscious behavior patterns that are happening to be able to change them. So if this is something you're listening and you're like, oh, this is me, and I feel like I've got some work to do there, there are 2 things I can invite you into that will be able to help you. So the first thing is I have a free energetic cord cutting meditation, which guides you through the process of identifying a situation that maybe has you stuck and helping to clear the energetic connection you have with that situation. It's a 15-minute meditation, and it will be transformational for you if there is something that is keeping you stuck. And the other thing is to book a discovery call with me. If what I've spoken about resonates and you've got an awareness that there is some work to do here, and there are patterns that you are perhaps aware of, but you just can't seem to shift, the work that I do is going to be really, really helpful for you. So the first step there is to just book a free call with me and take some time to talk through what's happening. We'll get an understanding. We can see if it's something I can help you with, and then we can take it from there. So as I say, this is work that I use on myself very regularly. I have had some younger self aspects coming up recently that I've been able to recognize, oh, hang on a minute, there's a pattern here running the show that's really unhelpful. And I've done my own journey work on that to be able to rectify it and start to do the healing work with it. And it's also something I use very often with my clients. And the transformation is quite quick. So it isn't something that you need to sit for years talking about in just a few sessions, because this can be something that starts to move and shift. And of course, when we move and shift the unconscious behavior patterns, we show up differently, we take different action in life. And then, of course, our outer circumstances change because of the different action we're taking. All of our external world, our relationship, our work, the things that keep us stuck, is all shaped by our internal landscape. And to quote someone who commented on one of my TikTok videos, oh, I love a bit of internal landscaping. Brilliant. When we look at what's happening internally and start to do the shifting, changing, healing work on it, our external life shapes out and shapes up very differently too, because all of our thoughts and our beliefs and our unconscious behaviors are driving what happens in our external reality. So thank you for joining me today. I've had a few new subscribers to the podcast. So if that's you, thank you very much for being here. I love having you listening. I love being able to share this work. If you have enjoyed the podcast, of course, I would really love it if you left me a 5-star review and shared it with a friend who might also enjoy it. And of course, if you'd like to get in touch with me, all of the links are in the show notes to the free energetic cord cutting meditation, and of course, to book a discovery call with me if you'd like to talk through doing this work one-on-one. Thank you again. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please leave me a 5-star rating and a review, and make sure you share this episode with a friend who you know will also enjoy it. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Please drop me a DM and say hi at Emma O'Brien Coach. And for more information about coaching with me, please head to my website, which is emmaobrien.coach.com.